And so, I would like to end with this. What are Jason Fong's discernment of the times? I would like to proceed carefully here, to walk humbly and softly before the Lord, to be reminded that I am not a prophet, but rather a preacher and a teacher of the word. In my watching, in my praying, and through my forthtelling of God's words, I have actually proclaimed these words. I said this first forthtelling around June 2020. Could God be using this pandemic as a thunderclap, like an alarm bell, to awaken the churches, to arouse Christians from our slumber, so that we may be mindful again of the return of Jesus Christ of the parousia? This forthtelling is based on Matthew chapter 24, the Olivet Discourse, which reads like this. And even so, when you see all these things, what things? Wars, famines, earthquakes, plagues, pestilences. When we see these things, we should know that the Lord's coming is near, that He is right at the door. This was my first forthtelling, recorded in several of my sermons. Nothing spectacular, nothing fanciful, but strongly based on God's word. Let those with ears hear. I also said a second forthtelling around August 2020. In these end times and last days, given enough ropes, humanity will eventually hang ourselves. Given enough space and time and freedom, we will kill ourselves, whether it's nuclear wars or social disorders, melting polar caps, or raging bushfires, plastic rice, or fake eggs. We will eventually paint ourselves into a deadly corner. This second forthtelling is based on Romans chapter 1, the words of Paul. God gave them over to a depraved mind, filled with wickedness and evil and greed and depravity and murder and strife. People invented diverse ways of doing evil. Of course, the immediate context of this passage in Romans chapter 1 were idolatry and sexual sins. But nonetheless, there is a wider application of this truth here. The phrase, God gave them over, appears at least 3 times in this chapter. God did not give up on humanity, but God gave humanity over to their own depravity. Indeed, as we march towards the parousia, God's restraint on evil will become lesser and lesser. Humanity will be given more and more ropes. Lawlessness will increase. The days will become more and more evil. And then the time will come when the church will be taken up. The church will be raptured. No more salt of the earth. No more light of the world. The man of lawlessness will take over.